Good morning, YouTube. This is me, Ray George Page, coming to you live on YouTube. As you know, today is the first month of March. And even though Black History Month has passed, we still should always celebrate the goings on in our community and our history, and also get to give respect to people who have made contributions to our community. But anyway, I was watching some TV a while ago, and I saw this on the news that the Hollywood Rock of Fame have just put out their nominees to be inducted to the Hall of Fame. And just pretty much, I saw the list, and most typically, mostly rock, kind of rock and pop singers like that, like Devo. I remember them from the '80s. They had a song "Whip It Good," and they had those crazy hats and cones. Yeah, you can whip it. And groups like the Go Go's. You also have Carole King. She's a very recognized folk singer. Rage Against the Machine. You know. You know, also, you know, the Foo Fighters, there goes my hero, watching it. Wait, I have an eclectic ear when it comes to music. But anyway, but I saw this. This is a good. Also, some ladies who are here on this list, and that is legends like Miss Tina Turner, or better known as Anna Mae Bullock. One Miss Dionne Warwick, one Miss Mary J. Blige, one Miss Chaka Khan, and two names that kind of was just kind of just surprised me on the list is LL Cool J and Young Hov Jay Z. I mean, this is something big. Two of the most known rappers, two Def Jam's biggest selling artists, gonna be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I know it wasn't long ago. I think Run DMC got inducted, but then Young Hov and and the the Overlord and the Ripper. I mean, that's just But anyway, I think the reason why, because they have just a great, like Miss Tina Turner. Miss Tina Turner's been around for the industry over 60 years. Close to 70 years, 60 years, something like that. Tina has 30 albums in her repertoire. She started her career with her ex-husband Ike Turner, Ike and Tina, and she's one of the you know most hits for female soul artists when back in the '80s, when she popped back up again with her songs like "What's Love Got to Do with It," "Private Dancer." I mean, she even sung the soundtrack for the Mad Max movie. I mean, Thunderdome. I mean, even to one point, she was still performing up till in her 70s. And you remember that story that said her legs were insured for $1 million. I think it's this big time insurance company out of France. I think her legs been insured for $1 million. I think somebody said that J-Lo's booty been insured by the same company. But she covers, like, she was on one of the first black women, just women in general, to be on the cover of a Rolling Stone magazine. She had a over she made the you know over 100 greatest artists of all time, and she even got Kennedy Senate honors recipient. I mean, also got to think about what she has computed to to the industry. Her song like "Proud Mary" and just the list go on and on. And then you have here Miss Dionne Warwick. Now, many of you may not know as much. I grew up, a good part of the '80s. I remember her growing up. I remember her on the series Solid Gold. She's the host of that show. It was like a great show. I used to love to watch. And Dionne, she's part of a kind of a music family, being she's cousins to Thelma Houston and the late Whitney Houston. And Dionne, she has at least 40 albums under her belt. Billboard 100 hot single charts. Second most charted female artist vocalist from 55 to 99, 75 million singles with 25 million albums, 6 Grammys, and several Lifetime Achievement Awards. I mean, she has accomplishment, and people still think about her as doing those Osaka Hotline stuff. That's back in the day. And there's also talk about a biography movie about her, and there's look at Tiana Taylor to play her. And if you look at it, you know what? There's slightly resemblance. I think mostly the jawline, the nose, you can really see it. Tiana, she did that video where she's all in that little tight, little top and and she saw, never mind. Oh, you remember she was in that Medea movie like bye, Aunt. Yeah, but she's a good actress and a good dancer, you know. And then you had Chaka Khan. You know, Chaka has been around for a long time, and I really grew up with Chaka because being I was the youngest out of 6 kids, or actually out of 9 kids, but my mother and father, well, forget about that part. But anyway, she started out her career with the group Rufus. They had a lot of hits back in the 70s, like Tell Me Something Good and all that. And then she's been in top 40 Billboard Awards, Hot 100. She has 10 Grammys on her belt, sold 7 million records. She's a crossover. Remember the movie Breaking, where it was about breakdance. It was like by the time you had breaking, you had Beat Street, and she sung that song "I Feel for You," and she's been around for a long time. Performing. Just an amazing artist. I mean, and like I said, I grew up with her like so many others. Because I was, I grew up. I was born in the '70s, grew up in the '80s, and hers, sort of like To the Fire. After she left, Rufus, and just the list go on and on for her music. And there's also talk of her also getting her own bio movie, and just looking at Nicki Minaj as possibly playing Shaka. And tell you the truth, they look like I don't think Shaka has any kids because I was researching. I don't think she had any children, and Nicki could look like her daughter, if not her granddaughter, maybe. But I mean, the similarity is just so much alike. I know. I mean, she, it's just unbelievable. Then Mary J. Blige, a while back I did a video about Mary J. Blige. I've been a fan of Mary J. since the day, just the hip hop queen of soul. I mean, she's been around for so long. 14 albums. Everybody knows about What's the 411, Real Love. I mean, her, I'm so Mary. I mean, just the list go on and on. I mean, 30 Grammy nominations, 9 Grammy wins, 4 American Music Awards, 12 Billboard Awards, selling over 80 million records worldwide. And from debut, she's just been around the game so long, and she has represented the hip hop culture. She's been really, one of the front runners of the culture, and she has done so much with her career. Even to now, she's one of the few artists from the '90s that's still going. You got to count Mariah Carey, and even though you might like him, most definitely, you know, R. Kelly. Many artists back then who were popping, hitting, and just really popular, long since have just died out. You might hear them pop up once in a while, but these are some of these artists still touring and still working. And and she's just been just. And sometimes I remember somebody saying, Mary's best music is when she's brokenhearted. I think like she just recently got divorced and she put out some best albums. I mean, she puts some happy stuff every now and then, but her best stuff when she's brokenhearted. And these two gentlemen, these are Def Jam's, crowning achievement. This is the overlord of rap and Young Hove. Can you believe it? I mean, Young Hove, and and just I've been a fan of LL since I was a kid. Back when he was like, and he's just been just been amazing. I mean, he's even though now he's an actor, he hadn't put an album in a long time, but he and also he's one of the first rappers to get a Kennedy Center honors. That's amazing. You don't think somebody like, especially like would get kids out, but he's one of the, along with Run DMC, Afro Bambaataa, Furious Five. He's one of those founding fathers of the rap movement. Rap, not hip hop, rap. And can't live without my radio. Rock the Bells. I mean, just 14 albums he made. I mean, he had at least one of the youngest in time. One of the youngest. I think he started at 16. I think he was like maybe a year or two older than Will Smith when he started. And having the longest reign at Def Jam Records. 40 album sales. He had won 2 Grammys during his time. He was the first rapper to set, like I said, to get a Kennedy City honors. I mean, even today, even though he doesn't perform much, he's still, I remember a while back, you remember Cannabis had an issue with him, and he brought back the Ripper, Jack the Ripper. That's the same character he used against Kumo D when they had their rivalry. That rivalry between him and Kumo D was just, If you remember it like I do, you like I say, if you're over 40, like I am, you remember that, he was how originally the Ripper came out for Kumo D, and he's just still, even though he's not rapping, he still every now and then he might do a performance. He has a show, the Link Sync Battle, and I remember one time there was one of these kids for that show, Stranger Things. He did I'm Bad on there, and I watched it. That kid did it just right. He even did the part where he's crushing like a jelly bean. I'm bad. I mean, that kid did pretty good. I mean, his daddy, his mom must make him watch, listen to LL Cool J before he did that performance. And then you have Hove. Yes, Mr. Sean Carter, young Hova. This man has been in the game quite some time. He was, I would say, a prodigy of B.I.G., Notorious Big. And, and he's just been in the game for so long. I mean, Hove is one of the most successful rappers in the history. And one time he was the president of Def Jam Records. And him and Beyonce are just like the power couple right now. I mean, and he's considered one of the fifth richest rappers, in hip hop history. You got to go there. You got Jay Z, you got Dr. Dre, you got Puff, you got most definitely you have Will Smith, Fresh Prince, and I forget who's the other. I'm trying to it'll get to me later. But like I said, he has been influenced rap for years with his like movies, The Blueprint, the Black Album. I mean, his songs like 99 Problems and Inch Ain't One. I mean, One I Love Takeover. Where that saying I always quote that saying he uses. He says, says a wise man told me never argue with fools. From a distance, people can't tell who is who. And sometimes I use that because truthfully, you don't want to argue with fools because they can't tell you the difference between which fool is you or who's the other. I mean, he's just been so amazing. And Jay-Z, even though he doesn't perform that much, he's still in the game. I mean, he, like I said, 50 albums sold, 22 Grammy wins, most number one hits by a solo artists. Just mostly both genres between pop, hip hop, R&B. And he's a business, like he said, like he's not a businessman, he's a businessman. I mean, he just took it to another level. I mean, I think everybody knows because he had that past of being a drug dealer, but he took that. That's why I say like this: most people, most of your richest families, get their money from criminal enterprises. And even though yes, he did use drugs to help him to get into the studios and get his music out, that's the way you got to do it. But like I said, this is a great set of amazing artists. I mean, legendaries. People of the future, people of the past, artists from different genres of music who have crossed over to this much success. Like Tina Turner, was like old school, like rock and roll, early days of rock and roll, and blues, and you have Dionne Warwick, a little more pop, and the top 100. You have Mary J. Blige, the hip hop queen of soul and R&B. You have Chaka Khan, who's also up there with there, and then you also have guys like LL and Jay Z. And they just are just a different level of music totally. But like I said, this is a pretty good pick for some nominees. I mean, the other nominees are pretty good, but I think these six people are the ones that really take to me because I listen to their music, I've grown up with their music, and I have a lot of respect for their music. And I think they deserve this to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Like I said, I don't know. I'm gonna find the information when they're gonna have they usually televise it. They used to televise it every now and then. So I'm gonna try to search for it. And I'm gonna put the information. I'll probably just put the a website for the Hollywood Walk of Fame that's in Cleveland, Ohio, I believe, and they'll probably set the date when they're gonna have the celebration. Anyway, this your man all the way, George Page. Like, don't subscribe, don't subscribe. I'm out.